What is up, my Knicks family? Welcome back to another edition of the Knicks Corner. You will be noticing that I'm missing my partner, Coach Fi. He's on a lovely getaway with his wife, so he's enjoying some breakfast right now. Hopefully, he'll tune in at some point. But in the meantime, let me hit y'all with the intro, and we'll get right into it. What is going on? Welcome back. Welcome back. So this week we had a nice special guest lined up. So it's kind of unfortunate that Coach isn't here to join us, but the conversation, the show must go on, as they say. So I want to introduce a guest that I've been looking to connect with for a little bit now, and I'm glad to finally have the ability to do so. So without any more further ado, please welcome Sim from Nothing But Knicks. What is up, man?
What's going on, man? How are you feeling?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. I'm always in the middle of a million things, so I guess I could say I'm scatterbrained. But for the sake of good content, I'm gonna just say I'm doing all right.
Hey, bro, you're not the only one. I'm
Uh,
right there with you. I'm in the middle of a million things all the time. Trust
yes,
me, all the time, man. But I'm honored to be here. Glad to be here, man. It's definitely a pleasure.
absolutely, man. So as you're saying, you're a busy man. You're always in the middle of a bunch of things. I know you got the Nothing But Knicks brand. So I definitely want to get into that and kind of pick your brain, see
Yeah.
one, I always like to start, how did you become a fan of the Knicks to begin with? What brought you into the fold?
Oh man, I've been a fan of the Knicks since I guess '86, somewhere around there. You know what? Around '86 is when I started to pay attention to sports.
Okay.
And so I became a Mets fan. Obviously, the Mets were good, winning the World Series. The Giants were good, and then the Knicks got Patrick Ewing, and
Yeah, man.
that kind of cemented it for me right there, and I was in it. You know,
It's it's funny, man, because that period was like such a golden era for New York. Because even in '94, you had New York, the Rangers in hockey winning the Stanley Cup. So it's just obviously the Yankees had such a run in the '90s. So there's just a lot of, like you said, nostalgia. So right when you became a fan, it sounds like it was like the perfect time.
perfect time. And what was crazy, my stepfather was a Lakers fan,
Oh,
and we were watching. Lakers and Knicks, and obvious, he was a Lakers fan, so I was like, at that time, I was kind of like, what am I? You know what I mean? Yeah, and I was like, I'm a Knicks fan because he was a Lakers fan. No, I'm a Knicks fan. I'm watching the Knicks, and that was kind of it. So it's not, a lot of people, their fathers was a Knicks fan and grandfathers were Knicks fans. Didn't really happen like that for me, but now my daughter's a Knicks fan. My son is a Knicks fan.
there you go.
So there we go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
man.
yeah, the Knicks, man, got me through the Knicks helped get me through a lot of tough times. For real.
Hell yeah,
Serious. Yeah.
definitely. Absolutely, man. And I always say this, like the Knicks, just the Knicks fan verse is it's such a family. You know what I mean? Like everybody just always comes together to, I mean, other than, the small little things that we all, talk about and debate about, but outside of that, I feel like it's such a tight knit family just being, a Knicks fan. And I came into it similar, man. I mean, my mom was, into the Knicks somewhat. She wasn't ever a diehard or nothing. She always had it on. My aunt was into it a little bit. My dad was never really big into basketball when I was growing up. Before me, he definitely was. I don't think he was a Knicks fan though. So I kind of came into it on my own also in a way. You know what I mean? So I know my brother's big into basketball. He's a Knicks fan, but he's not a diehard. But he just appreciates good ball. So I'm kind of on my own island out here. But that's why I enjoy the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's such a tight knit group. So you
Yeah.
gotta love it, man. Gotta
Mm.
love it.
It makes it because I live in DC now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So And there's a lot of Knicks fans here too. As a matter of fact, any place you go, especially on the East Coast, from Maine all the way down to Miami,
Oh yeah,
there's Knicks fans everywhere. But it gives me a chance to really be able to chop it up with some Knicks fans because I don't have a lot of Knicks fans just like right around in my circle. You know what I mean?
same,
So
same.
I get a chance to really chop it up with some real Knicks fans when I'm live and when I'm talking in the chats and everything. So it's a real brother and sisterhood, man.
That's what's up. Yeah, definitely, man. I'm right there with you. And so going right to that, right? So we're talking about nothing but Knicks and the community that you've started and grown into, such a presence in the Knicks, community itself. How did that come about?
Before I started going live on YouTube, I used to blog. There was this website called Sports Blog,
Okay.
and I would, write, I would blog on there a little bit, and it was doing well, and most of my viewership or readership, if you want to say, came from Twitter.
Okay.
And then I also did a little bit on the Daily Knicks. If you know what that is.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
Right, it's a very long time ago. I did a little bit on the Daily Knicks, and again, my viewership came from Twitter. I had a good Twitter following at the time, and Twitter had the whole thing on. You can get verified or whatever, and I tried to get verified, and when I did so, my entire account got erased. I don't know how or why it got erased.
Jeez.
And I lost all of my followers. And I contacted them. They said, well, we don't see your account in here at all.
What?
Okay, well.
That's crazy.
So I had to restart my Nothing But Knicks account on Twitter and try to build it back up. And then one day I said, you know what? Let me see what this YouTube thing is about, because I wasn't really getting the viewership anymore on the blog because people didn't know where to find it, I guess. I don't know. And then the sports blog site went down. I didn't really finish writing with the Daily Knicks. So I said, let me see what this YouTube thing is about. And I started to create like 20-minute videos on YouTube, breaking down the basketball game, talk about other things that was going on. And I noticed that I was getting a nice following and a good number of subscribers on YouTube. And after every game, the next day, I would spend hours editing a video. And I was like, okay, this is taking entirely too long to edit a video about the previous game.
Yep.
Let me see what happens if I go live. All right. So one day I was at a conference somewhere, and I said, you know what? I watched the game. I wrote down some notes, and I hooked up my phone so it was still. And I went live, and I had like 70 people watching. And I was like, whoa, I can't believe I got like 70 people watching me right now. I was bugged out, and I said, you know what, this is the way to do it. And then I said, let me figure out how I can go live, but make it look like it's edited. So then I really started to do the research into, OBS and different types of softwares that I can use to make my videos look like they were edited, even though I was doing it live. And then from there on, I just started going live. Every once in a while, I'll still do pre-recorded videos, just on, small, like if there's something that really only needs 3 or 4 minutes to talk about, I'll do a quick video on that. But that's basically right there how it got going, man. And then it just started to grow. And I said, you know what, this is really good. Let me see if I can find ways to get other fans to come in and talk about the Knicks too. And so I found a video chat and figured out how I can stream the video chat, and then I would put the link out and open it up for people to come in. Right. Every day we would get new people coming in, to talk about the Knicks. And then I got a phone number involved, and it just became, it just continued to grow.
Right.
Just continued to grow. Now, we have a different way that we allow fans to come in, because we had one experience that wasn't really good.
Right.
and I don't even want to go into that experience. Those who subscribe to the channel, and if you're listening now, they know exactly what that experience is, where somebody did something really, really crazy live on the channel. It was wild, man. I
Yeah,
was
don't give it no light. We'll talk offline because
yeah, yeah,
I want to know what's up. Try to
yeah, yeah.
steer
It
clear
was
of these guys.
so we had to go a little bit of a different way on how we let people come in and talk and share their experience. But it really grew into a big brotherhood and a family. That's why we call it MBK fam, because I really do enjoy seeing people who are fans, get the courage to come on and share their thoughts, share their experiences, and then if they like to jump out and start doing their own channels or podcasts or uh, whatever it is that they do, however
Yep.
they create, So, we
Inspiring people,
yeah,
man.
I mean, it's great, and so we've grown into doing, people who are making music about the Knicks. Uh, I have some people working with me that are just doing different types of different types of content, mashups of music and video and graphic work and things like that. So
Sure.
it's a great thing to see.
It definitely is, man. Absolutely. And that's one reason I've been big on. I don't know if you've seen, but I've been hosting these Twitter Spaces
Yeah.
conversations. And it's been great because I've been getting like you said, 40, 50 people just in one room talking Knicks, and then you're on one topic and talking about something, and then somebody requests to speak and they throw out a different angle and they're looking at it from this. So you get a lot of great conversation and a lot of great just build in terms of community, through platforms like that. So shouts to you, man, for being a pioneer in the game. Obviously you got a big presence in the Knicks community, so it's definitely very much appreciated. That's for
I
sure.
appreciate that. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
of course, man. So now we got to get down to the nitty gritty. You know what I mean? The beans and the potatoes.
Yeah, let's get to
Um, and get through those. I mean, I'm trying to get to the steak. The juicy steak. So I want to know what you're thinking about. One. Let's start with last season. So what are your thoughts on where we started, how we finished, and set ourselves up for what we got now? Going into the next season.
Yeah, man. Last season, I think everybody would agree it was a huge surprise, right? Nobody expected the Knicks to be what they were last season.
No,
So
definitely not.
defensively, Tom Thibodeau really came in and structured the defense, gave the Knicks or helped the Knicks to establish a defensive identity, something that fans have been clamoring for years, right? So they really came in, and the entire coaching staff, not just Tom Thibodeau, the entire coaching staff came in and helped the Knicks to develop that defensive identity, which uh, it was crazy because just the season before, with almost the exact same players, the Knicks were horrible defensively.
Yeah.
Right, horrible defensively, and it just goes to show you what structure and when you set expectations and when you hold people accountable, what that can do to a
Oh,
team, to a
absolutely.
to a group of people. So that was really a pleasure to see. And then, obviously, what he was able to help Julius Randle do last year, help RJ Barrett to do last year. Tom
Yep.
Thibodeau shows a great amount of confidence in his players. You know, when RJ Barrett was shooting awfully in the beginning of the season, and there were talks everywhere, should RJ Barrett go to the bench? This, that, and the third. Tom Thibodeau was like, we're gonna rock with him. I've been around basketball a long time and I've seen guys go up and down. He's gonna respond. He works too hard.
He
You know,
does.
the same thing with Obi. People like he should go down to the G League. He was like, I see how hard he works. I know what he can do. Eventually, it's going to show up on the basketball court, and he rocks with his guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Alfred Payton, all last year, everybody wanted Alfred Payton on the bench, this and that. Tom Thibodeau was like, you know what? I rocked with this guy. I started with him. I'm gonna keep going. This is the way that our team works.
Mm-hmm.
Not be the best point guard, but this is the way that our team works right now. And
Right.
not one time did he put down Alfred Payton. and he probably had a million chances to. But no
Yeah.
matter what, he stuck by him. And he defended him, and he rocked with him up until the playoffs. And when he said, let me try something different, right? But that's what he is, and that's what he does, and I really respect that because
Yeah.
you get
Same.
players like you seen what Doc Rivers did with Ben Simmons. You know what I'm saying? So you get coaches that do that type of thing to players. Tom Thibodeau was rocking with his guys. That
Oh yeah.
means that the players are going to play hard for him.
And it all goes back to the same point that he was coming in and trying to make. You know what I mean? It's that committal to the one goal. So being that that's there, he's got to back his guys up. No matter how many times that the press conferences and reporters set him up, to say something negative. And he absolutely, you're absolutely right, man. He rocked with him all season long, and to his defense, I mean, it's what worked. You know what I mean? And you only have so much time, and every game counts. And he was trying to get to where we ended up getting to. So I understand it, and I respect it also, and that's why I was a big proponent of just let it rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly. That's where I was. I was like, just let it go. You know what I
yep,
mean? This is the way that our team works. It works best this way.
yep,
And I think even in the playoffs, it proved that it worked best that way because, you know, obviously we knew that Elfrid Payton wasn't going to be our starting point guard for a long time.
right,
He
exactly.
was
It
going to
was
be gone.
temporary.
Yeah, it was temporary. We knew that, but when you took a look at how the playoffs then ended when he went to the bench, it wasn't really because he went to the bench that the Knicks started to get blown out in all the other games. It was because it disrupted the other parts of the team.
Yes,
You know what I
and
mean?
which is why he stuck to it to get us where we were.
Yeah.
So I understand why he tried changing it. In the last game or two. I mean, at that point, your back's to somewhat against the wall, and you got to start trying something different.
Right.
I just wish that we tried other things first, to begin with, but that's another conversation, right?
Right. Exactly. He had to do something. So, I understood it. He had to figure out, what it is that was holding us back from being able to be successful in those playoffs. But all in all, it was a great year for the Knicks.
It was. It
And
definitely was.
I feel like it was the rebirth of a really good team that can one day contend for a championship. Now there's a lot of pressure on the team this year, I think, to grow and be better than what they were last year. So there's definitely some, and I think the players know it because a
They
lot of
definitely
people are
do.
going to say it was a fluke, right? Julius Randle, it was a fluke. That's what people are going to say.
They're
Uh,
already saying it. They're
oh,
already saying it.
exactly. The Knicks defense, it was a fluke. So I think the Knicks have something to prove this year. They got to come out and show people, no, it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a fluke. This is really who we are. And it's
Oh
going
yeah,
to be difficult because the East has gotten better. At
they
least on
definitely
paper.
have.
At least on paper, they've gotten better.
Absolutely, but I feel like at the same time that a bunch of these teams they added so many different parts, and they kind of have to start at the beginning, in terms of seeing what fits and this and that. And I feel like we're at least 2 steps ahead of that, being that we have a lot of the same guys from last year, a lot of the same staff, and we're not going to change the direction too much. You know what I mean? So it's just bringing
Right.
2 guys who at the same time played together before, have a relationship into the fold. So I think it shouldn't be there'll be an adjustment period, but I think it's going to be a lot shorter than some of the other teams, that had a lot more changes come into play.
Yeah. And I think what you just said right there is so key when you said that they've had a relationship before,
Mm-hmm.
right? That means a lot when it comes to playing in on any basketball team, the relationship and the chemistry. So the fact that the Knicks, when you look at the Knicks, 8 players in their 10-man rotation, what we expect to be their 10-man rotation, were here last season. And now you're bringing in 2 players who played together last season, like you
Right.
said. And, so they have some chemistry. There's been, I actually did a video, and there's been some other write ups about their chemistry together on the floor and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they wanted to play with each other once again and all of that stuff. So I think it can only, as long as those 2 come in and they really do ingratiate themselves to the team, and the team accepts them for who they are and what they are, I don't think there's going to be any issues. I mean, obviously, like, there's going to be it's going to take some time for them to understand the nuances of each other, right?
Oh yeah.
And Fournier understanding the nuances of Randall and RJ and Mitch, you know, and vice versa. So it's going to take some time to understand those little nuances. When Randall passes Fournier the ball, where's his shooter pocket? Where does he want the ball so he can get it right up into a jump shot? Or when Kemba is passing Randall or RJ the basketball, how does Kemba pass it to them? Where's their shooter spots? And then they've got to realize, okay, he likes to pass it to where I'm going to be, not to where I'm at. So they all those little type of things, they're going to have to get used to each other, and it's going to take a little bit of time for that to happen.
Definitely.
So you could see the Knicks in the beginning of the season maybe having turnovers, because they're not used to those little nuances of the game. But as time goes on and they get used to each other, you'll see less of that.
Yep. You know what I related to? I related to when Derrick Rose came over last season, right? And I'm going to say the first 2-3 games, you would see him drive and then make an errant pass, or somebody would be looking for him and they would miss him in a certain spot. Right. And I want to say by like the 4th, 5th game, he pretty much was right in lock and step with everybody in terms of knowing their spots, knowing where to be, and vice versa, So I feel like the adjustment will be similar to that, just, very minuscule. Yeah. Especially having the time now beforehand to prepare, because last year, obviously, we knew what the situation was coming into it.
Right. That's going to be big for this team as well. Just, having that training camp, because training camp begins the 29th, I believe it is.
Yeah.
This month. They get to practice for a week, and then they go right into preseason games. You got like 4 preseason games, over the span of a month.
Yep. I'm going to, I think the first or second. I'm going to the one against the Cavs on the 15th.
Okay.
So yeah. I'll be in there for that. That'll be cool. And like you said, it'll be cool just to see the runs,
Exactly. And, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to one. I'll have to see. I coach basketball myself.
Okay.
For a high school team, so I don't know. We'll be in the middle of our own little preseason training camps.
Yeah, of course.
That time, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get out. To get up there. I will be in the building on the 20th though for the home opener in the season.
There you go, man. I'm jealous, man. There's a bunch of guys that I know are going to be up in there, and I shouldn't say I'm too jealous because I'm doing like the reception for my wedding on that Saturday. So I just know that there's going to be so much going on the days coming into it. So I figured let me sit out the home opener as much as I want to go. I just feel like, listen, it's the right thing to do, But as soon as all this is done, man, I'm going in 1,000% on this season. I can't wait.
Yeah. So you get married?
Yeah. So last year we did the church, just a small little thing because everything, with the pandemic, and we didn't want to waste time, So we did that, but we pushed the big party off. So we figured this year we'll at least do a party because I don't want to keep putting that off, So it won't be huge, because obviously there's still a lot going on pandemic wise, but at least we'll be doing something. So
yeah, congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Thank
you. You're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing, man.
I feel like it is.
Listen, you do these things. You do these things like this, and then when it comes time, you're like, baby, I'm sitting and watching the Knicks game.
Oh yeah,
she'll be all right with it. So do the work now. Do the work
100%.
now, bro.
100%, man. I'll tell you what, I already got my routine. I got the DVR going. I record the Knicks games. A lot of times I'll just be watching the shows with the wife, and then 9, 10 o'clock rolls around. Then I throw on the Knicks game and I'll catch it. So it's tough, man, because then I do the morning drives in the morning, and I wake up a little bit earlier for that, just to get in my groove and stuff. Yeah. And sometimes it cuts the sleep time short, but you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta do, man. Yeah, and it's great now, like nowadays, because you have so many different ways you can watch the game. You can watch it on your phone, so you can literally sit there and watch the show and watch the game at the same time, and
oh yeah,
happy,
Yeah, man. I don't know how many times you go on Twitter, like on a Sunday lately now, and they're showing an NFL game straight up. You
Yeah.
know, obviously you got the MSG Go apps. Like I'll be sometimes watching it on my laptop. You know, so
Right.
it just makes it easy, man. It just makes it easy. And I'll tell you the one downside about that is you get all the information about everything all at once. So like last night, I'm scrolling on my phone, and all of a sudden I see freaking Trae Young walking down the ramp at Smackdown in MSG. Like, are
Right.
you kidding me right now? Please tell
Tell
me
me
you
about
saw
it.
that. Did you see that?
Yes, I saw that. Yeah. That's
Man,
crazy.
such BS,
It's
man.
crazy.
We gotta do something about that. You know what I'm saying? Like our Knicks guys, we can't let that happen. That's straight disrespect, you know?
Yeah, man. And listen, I think this is the team that takes those type of things personal.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
This is the team that takes those type of things personal, and it emanates from Julius Randle. Julius Randle is, his first year, everybody thought Julius Randle was this selfish guy and bad attitude and all this kind of stuff. He proved
Yep.
everybody wrong last year. Now people are really seeing that he really is a humble guy that is willing to be a team player. And I think he really does respect and love New York City. He loves being a Knick, and he's willing to protect New York, I believe, at all costs.
I totally agree
You know
with
what
you,
I'm
man.
saying?
Totally
So
agree.
all of those things about protecting home court, protecting New York, not letting people embarrass the Knicks, I think is going to emanate from Julius Randle. And then when you got guys like Kemba and Taj Gibson who are from New York, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
You
They're
know,
gonna hold. I'm
yeah,
telling, man, I love it,
hold it
man. I
for it.
love it. Everything that we've molded this team into, and I just feel like it's come full circle. You know what I mean? And man, it's exciting. You know, I'll tell you what too. Those sit downs that Julius has been doing. You know, that one piece that he did for, I think it was the New Yorker, where he just opens up. You know, and really talks about what his mindset was during his first year, what his mindset was in the beginning of last year, and you really get a better look at his feelings and who he is as a person. So it lends itself to the narrative that he wasn't a selfish guy the first year around. It's just that he was trying to do everything that he could to help the team exceed expectations and excel at the game of basketball. And I just feel like you just can't do everything by yourself. So now that we got the right staff and the right guys in place to kind of guide him, and watch that video, man, that was one of my favorite parts that he was talking about, is that he really sat himself down and watched all that footage from the first year. And where was I going wrong? Okay, I'm spinning into double teams. And, everybody knows the stuff that we were seeing, so for him to watch it, recognize it, and then fix it and make those changes, it's huge. So now you take that same narrative, right, and everybody applied that towards the playoffs. Oh, he should have brick in the playoffs. Well, you just saw what he did to correct himself in the season itself. You don't think he's going to go do that same thing with that postseason footage? So I'm looking forward to it, and I think you're 100% right. It's that hate that kind of just comes from being in New York, but he's such that guy that'll take that and put New York on his back, and circling it back to where we started with Trae Young at SmackDown in MSG. It's just funny to even say that, but I think that he'll definitely take that personal, and hopefully he throws some kind of rebuttal back out there. I know we'll see it on the court.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah, yeah. And you know what the crazy thing is with Julius Randle, and we've talked about it, everyone's talked about it a lot. But when you look at his career, he's had steady progress throughout his career, constantly getting better. The one blip was when he was coached, not last year, but the season before with when the Knicks were terrible. And still, he averaged 19 points and almost 10 rebounds a game. His shooting dipped that season, especially from the 3-point line, where I think the season before he shot 34% and went down to 28% or something like that.
Yep.
Uh, and then last year, he jumps back up. He leapfrogs what he did the season before, and gets back on track to where he was when he was with New Orleans. But these numbers and what he's done, I believe it was already in him he needed someone like Tom Thibodeau
Just to
uh,
push
to push him, to put
that nudge.
expectations
Yep.
on him, to put standards on him, uh, to bring it out of him. It was there. It was coming. That 1 year with Coach Fizdale, Fizdale just he wasn't able to hold players accountable the way that Tom Thibodeau does, and it's
No,
exactly what Julius Randle needed, which is the reason why you see him. You see what he did last year, and I think he's going to continue. He works hard. He works on his game. He studies the
definitely.
game. He was a student of one of the greatest players to ever live in Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
And he took a
Absolutely.
lot from Kobe Bryant, and I think he's going to continue to get better.
I totally agree. I think that we're just seeing the potential that he has, now, and I think that he definitely has more to give. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I had a point to make on something that you were saying, but I definitely lost it. I don't want to lose track. So, Sim, we usually keep this to about half an hour or so. So I figure we'll go for like another 5 minutes and wrap it up. So,
Okay.
what I want to ask you real quick, and just as a quick point, in terms of the playoffs, right, last year, was there any adjustments that you would have liked to see Thibs make, that we didn't see him make? And we know obviously he didn't make too many to begin with. So I'm just curious from your perspective, was there anything different you wanted to see shake out?
I mean, I would have liked to see Julius Randle play closer to the basket, catch the ball in the mid post area, in the mid post, at the high
Mm-hmm.
post, and go to work from there. Um, that was really the biggest adjustment that I wanted to see. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think any adjustment was going to lead the Knicks to winning that series. I think that the Hawks they just had more talent than we did,
Okay.
and I feel like, um, you know, Julius Randle first time in the playoffs, maybe a little bit of deer in the headlight syndrome. You know,
Yep.
that's a big stage,
And
and
I hate using those things as excuses, but they are legitimate things that it does
yeah,
affect some people, doesn't affect others.
right,
So
right,
it's you got to at least mention it.
yeah, and people always point and say, "Well, Trae Young is first time in the playoffs too," right? But I think there's a difference between the two. Trae Young's always been the star of his team. He's always been in the spotlight. He's
Different people.
always been the man. So he
Yeah.
had a different level of development as far as being ready for that stage. Julius Randle, I think, will be ready for that stage this year.
I think
And
so
then,
too.
and then I think the Knicks the Hawks were deep. The
They were.
Hawks were super deep, and they had guys that could just catch the ball and launch it and knock it down. And Bogdanovich and Gallo and those guys. And the Knicks didn't have that last year.
Yep.
But I think we'll be better equipped for the playoffs this year. That's one thing. Um, just everybody that's listening and paying attention, just because if the Knicks wind up not having a better record than last year, which they will because you're playing 10 more games, but percentage wise, if the Knicks aren't better than last year, percentage wise, it doesn't mean that they're not a better team, right? Because I think they're well more, or I don't know if well more is even the right phrase, but
I'm with it, man.
they're,
I'm
they're, they're
following.
better prepared for the playoffs than last year, I think.
I agree.
And that's what I'm worried. That's all I care about. Are they better prepared for the playoffs? I don't care if they're
100%.
the fourth seed. They can be the sixth seed, whatever it is. I want them to be in that top six, though, because I don't want them to be in the play-in. But,
I'm with you. Definitely with you.
whether or not they're better in the regular season, are they better in the playoffs? That's all I care about.
Yeah, exactly. To me, I'm right there with you, and I've been saying that for the last couple of weeks. Also, is it doesn't matter so much in terms of the record. It doesn't matter so much in terms of seeding. Although you want to get a decent seat, I still look at it as like you got to be in it to win it. So let's just get in and do what we got to do. The record itself doesn't matter because it's going to be a tight race at some point. How many teams are in that tight race? That's obviously yet to be seen, but we saw how it shook out last season. And that 4 seed, yes, we worked for it, but there was obviously other factors at play that easily could have swayed us back into the 5, back into the 6. So, like you said, man, it doesn't matter so much. Let's get in and just try to avoid the play-in and put the work in. We made some changes to the roster, so hopefully they help us out. And I think we're definitely deeper. I think we got some more guys that if we went up against Atlanta again, that we'd have at least more weapons to throw at them, and hopefully we'd be able to even the playing field and take the win,
Right.
JD Sports Talk threw out a pretty good question here that I would love to get your response on. He says, great guest today, Sim. We already know that. Question for him. Will this be Thibs' most challenging job of his career? Why or why not? And the reason he asks is because this roster has a lot of players that want and need to play, which is true. There's guys that are going to be hard to deny opportunities.
That's a good question. When I look back at those Bulls years, when he was with the Bulls and Derrick Rose would be out and he had to change the entire offense, I think one of those years was probably one of his most challenging years. Because when you lose a guy like Derrick Rose, who was an MVP type player, and then you had to change everything up.
Everything, right?
Noah, and you got to do that mid-season or whatever it is. That's a hell of a coaching job, in my opinion. But he will definitely have a challenging job with this team. And I think one of the things that we want to see from Tom Thibodeau is how does he expand the offense now, right? Last year, I thought the offense was very predictable. And I think it was that way on purpose because we had a lack of offensive players. So we had to get the best out of what we had. And the best out of what we had was to get the ball to Julius Randle, let him collapse the defense, see if we can kick it out the shooters out on the wing.
Correct.
Right? That's what we had to do.
I love talking with people that know what they're watching, man. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we had to do. What else did we have? There wasn't much that a guy like Reggie Bullock could do, but catch and shoot.
No, exactly. He couldn't put the ball on the floor, so that was his only option.
That was his only option.
And I got to say it, the one time that he had to put the ball on the floor, he didn't, and we got the turnover. And I'm talking about that 2-on-1, where he should have thrown it up to RJ and just didn't. He held it on, and it was an up and down turnover. Right. And that was a momentum-changing play.
Yeah, exactly. So, there was only so much Reggie Bullock could do. He was a good defender. He could shoot the ball, but, he wasn't consistent in shooting.
We just needed more. That's all.
Right. We needed more from that position. There's nothing wrong with Reggie Bullock. We just needed more from that position.
Correct.
Obviously, from the point guard spot, Elfrid Payton couldn't shoot the ball. Right. So in order to spread the floor, you needed to have the ball in Elfrid Payton's hands because now the defender is attached to him, which means other people could spread the floor. But the thing with that is that he wasn't a great scorer at the rim either. He could get there.
But he didn't finish.
But he couldn't finish.
Correct.
So we were really, really limited offensively in what we could do last year. So I think Tom Thibodeau said, we're going to keep this very, very simple. And then, you include in, a short training camp and all those things. That we're going to keep it simple. We're going to make it easy for the guys. Right. And we're going to slow it down. People complained, was upset about the offense being slow. I think that's how the best way that this team could play.
Correct.
You've got to have you've got to have a really, really high basketball IQ to play an up-tempo, fast break type of a basketball game because you got to be able to know where to go on the fly. And every
time without hesitation.
Without hesitation. We just weren't there. You've seen some of the things we did on the fast break. I mean, we had some terrible plays on the fast break. So I think with this roster here, there's a lot of guys, obviously, in the starting lineup. You're adding Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. Both guys can score the basketball and in different ways. You got the same bench, but then you got guys like Quentin Grimes and Miles McBride. You know what I'm saying?
Dogs.
They're guys that may demand some playing time. You know what I mean? So Tom Thibodeau definitely has his work cut out for him.
He does.
We know he likes to go 10 players deep, how he puts those players on the floor and how he uses those players. I think that's going to be a big key. How does he use those guys? I want to see a variation in offense. I don't want to see the same thing. I want to see us utilize the players, utilize Fournier's abilities to slash and to knock down the three and to put the ball on the floor when he needs to. Utilize Kemba's ability to get to the cup and score, his ability to distribute. I want to see how the offense flourishes from there.
Yeah, I definitely did too. Josh, aka Uncle of Olio. I don't know.
Uncle Fulio.
Uncle Fulio, yeah, there you go. He says, I think the pressure is on the Thibs to improve from last season. Anything short of that, there will be questions. I think for the most part, for the most part, that statement's somewhat true, and I think that he'll be fine. I feel like we really just got to build off of what we saw last season, right? Like we just said, Sim, it's not about the record so much. It's about building off of the playing style, the playing culture, and getting the most again out of the roster that we have. And that's going to be those crucial elements to a successful season.
Yeah, I agree. And Tom Thibodeau always tells us, it's a long season, and it's going to be longer this year because it's 82 games. It's a long season, and a lot can happen in the season.
Yep.
So I do think everyone's going to get a chance to play. If you look at last year, just about everybody had a chance to play important minutes for this team. And I think it's going to be the same way this season. Everyone's going to get a chance to play some important minutes and help the team to get to wherever they're going to get to. But yeah, it's about establishing. It's about using the regular season to establish your habits, right? And then you bring those habits into the playoffs. And that's what that regular season is all about. And the record to me isn't going to mean much. It's, are they ready? Are they prepared for the playoffs and how they perform in the playoffs? And I think Tom Thibodeau and the coaching staff is going to do everything to get the guys there. And I think everyone's going to be committed.
Absolutely, man. I totally agree with you. And I think that's been really, part of the biggest success of our team has been the committal from everybody. Everybody's bought in. Everybody is under the same beliefs, and they're riding for the same cause, and they're riding for each other. There's so many different factors, but the biggest thing is that everybody is bought into one single goal, and it shows, and everybody's working hard to obtain it. So, yeah, man, I can't wait to see how this season unfolds. I really can't.
Yeah, I can't
Shout to Guard Up Knicks. He just threw in a comment here. I think we have the right veterans in the locker room to keep our guys just as focused as last year. I totally agree with that also. I think that the guys we have there, they're not just veterans. They're, guys like Taj Gibson. He's just down to earth. You know what I mean? He's from New York, and those are two big qualities that really he's great at expressing. And it shows so much, not just to the guys on the court, but guys like me who see it just in what we see on the court and in his interviews, So I definitely think so too. I think between him, Derrick Rose, how we've seen him come in and kind of embrace being the vet and taking guys like Obi and Quick under his wing. I absolutely think so, and even listen, man, Jules is a vet too, so right. I think we're fine. I think we're set. And like I said, man, I just can't wait to see it unfold,
Yeah. And, with Taj Gibson, everyone looks at the players that's on the floor. He's going to be on the floor, but, the Kemba Walkers and Julius Randles said, well, they are the leaders. But I can guarantee you in that locker room, Taj Gibson is the leader. Taj Gibson is the guy that everyone's listening to. He may not be on the floor, playing 37 minutes.
So with you, man.
But he is the guy that everyone listens to. I can guarantee it. Derrick Rose is a little more quiet, and people are going to follow, what he does to prepare for the game. And he's changed his eating habits and all those type of things. You see him doing, different
little
type of exercises, before he gets into the game. And that's going to go through the entire team. Everyone's going to, you've seen it last year. Everyone was doing it, and they'll continue to do it.
Yep.
And this is not to say that Julius Randle is not a leader, but as far as vocally and being the guy that everyone's going to follow, I think Taj Gibson is probably that guy in the locker room.
I'm with you, man. I agree with you.
I think he's conscious of the team.
And you could tell Jules is more a leader by example, whereas Taj is more of a vocal leader, you know? So I'm definitely with you on that, man. Sim, I want to thank you so much for the time that you've given us today. I think we had a great show. We got into some great conversation. And before you go, is there anything that you want to plug at all or talk about? Tell the people what you got going on?
What I would like to say is I want to send my love out to everybody who lost somebody in 9/11.
Man, thank you for that. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, just send my love out to everyone who lost somebody. To all of our first responders who responded on that day and since.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my hat off.
Much appreciation to you and to our essential workers right now, who are, trying to keep us going, man. Much love to you all. So that's what I want to send out to everybody today.
Dude, I appreciate that, man, because I wanted to try to make a point to say something, so it was meant to be, man. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problems, man. No problem. Yeah, definitely.
Now,
much love to everybody.
now, Nothing But Knicks. Anything that you want to talk about there? Tell the people where they can find
Yeah.
it.
Nothing but Knicks, man. You can catch me at nbkfam.com. That's our website. It's nbkfam. And you'll see we need to update a little bit, but you'll have some videos of people who are part of NBK fam. Of course, youtube.com/nothing but Knicks. You can catch me there. And I'm actually going to be doing a show later on today about 1:45 about Evan Fournier and whether or not, what our expectations are for Evan Fournier and whether or not he can be an all-star this season.
Okay, I like it.
So we'll talk about that a little bit.
I'll be around in an hour. I'm gonna tune into that.
Okay, definitely. And some things that we got coming up. Obviously, we got a group of people. We got about 40 people going to the opening night game. That's going to be dope. And
nice,
we're doing a live podcast before the game at a bar called Legends, right down the street from Madison Square Garden. So it's gonna be dope. The live podcast.
This is why I'm a little envious that I can't be around, man. There's so much good stuff going on.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be fun, man. The live podcast is gonna start about 4. It will be streamed, so you'll have a bunch of creators from NBK there, and we all got our microphones and video, and we'll be talking about the Knicks and some pregame stuff. Then we'll be headed to the game after that, but we'll be doing a bunch of those live podcasts throughout the season. So just look forward to it, and we'll be inviting different people to come in and join the live podcast too.
Nice, that's what's up.
Yeah, those live podcasts are fun. It's fun, dude, man. It's gonna be dope.
They definitely are, man. So that's what's up. I definitely, like I said, appreciate you coming through. Everybody that's tuned in, nbkfam.com. In 1 hour from now, check out his YouTube. He's going to be going live doing a video. And then also Home Opener has a great event lined up there too. Yeah, so definitely stay tuned to Sim at Nothing But Knicks. Man, I appreciate you again. Thank you so much. Everybody tuned in. You guys are awesome. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. And I'm sure we'll all talk soon.
No doubt about it. Appreciate you all.
All day, man. I got to hit that music. Wow.